A millionaire is mocked for falling in love with a homeless woman. But fate takes a turn. Before we dive into the story, comment below and let us know what city you're watching from. Enjoy the story. Gabriel Torres, owner of a real estate empire, was driving through the busy streets near his office. While waiting at a red light on a crowded corner, something unusual caught his eye. Sitting on the ground, leaning against the wall of an old building, was a young woman. She was wrapped in a worn-out blanket, arms crossed tightly around her body to ward off the cold. Her tangled hair fell over her face and she seemed oblivious to the world. She wasn't asking for anything, just staring at the ground with an empty expression. Gabriel looked away for a moment, but something made him glance back. Strange, he thought. She looks so young. The light turned green and he drove on, leaving the woman behind. At home, he tried to go about his usual routine, but something was off. The image of the woman kept coming to mind. Why was someone so young in that situation? An inexplicable irritation stirred within him for even caring. So many people lived on the streets. Why was she different? He tried watching TV. He tried working. Nothing helped. Her image lingered in his mind like a shadow. Finally, he grabbed his car keys and headed out again. Something inside him pulled him back to that corner. It didn't make sense, but he needed to understand. When he got there, she was still in the same spot. The crowd had changed, new faces, hurried steps, but she remained motionless, as if frozen in time. Gabriel parked his car and walked over. The young woman noticed his approach but didn't move. When he stopped a few feet away, she looked up, her eyes wary. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice firm and direct. Gabriel was momentarily caught off guard. He wasn't sure what to say. "I saw you here earlier," he began. "Are you okay?" She stared at him for a moment before replying. "I'm sitting on a street corner wrapped in an old blanket. What do you think?" Her voice carried sarcasm, but it wasn't hostile, just a blunt honesty that left him disarmed. "I didn't mean to offend," Gabriel said, trying to soften his tone. "I just wanted to see if you needed anything." She let out a short, humorless laugh. "I need a lot of things, but you can't give me any of them." "Maybe I can," Gabriel insisted. The woman shook her head and looked away, clearly tired of this kind of interaction. "You want to help? Great. Then leave me alone." Her words hit him like a blow. It wasn't the response he'd expected. She wasn't like the people he knew, those who asked for favors or tried to impress him. "What's your name?" he asked, ignoring his discomfort. She sighed, as if answering was an unnecessary effort. "Anna." "I'm Gabriel." Anna didn't reply, just went back to staring at the ground. He stood there for a few more moments, sensing he wasn't welcome, but reluctant to leave. Finally, he stepped back. "I'll come back tomorrow," he said without thinking. "You don't need to come back," Anna replied, her voice low, almost a whisper. Gabriel didn't respond, he just turned and walked back to his car. Driving away, he felt frustrated. He didn't know why this situation affected him so deeply, but there was something about Anna he couldn't ignore. That night, lying in bed, Gabriel realized something inside him had shifted. For the first time in a long while, he was thinking about someone other than himself. And that both terrified and intrigued him. The next morning, Gabriel Torres was no longer the same. The images of Anna sitting on that corner echoed in his mind like a challenge he couldn't figure out. Throughout his morning meeting with his team, he barely paid attention to the numbers and charts that used to captivate him. Something kept pulling him back to that corner. By the afternoon, Gabriel made a decision that seemed illogical even to himself. He canceled the rest of his schedule, grabbed his car keys, and drove back to where he had seen Anna. When he arrived, she was still there, exactly as she had been the night before. Sitting in the same spot, wrapped in her blanket, with her bag beside her. She seemed oblivious to the people passing by and the cars rushing past. Gabriel parked his car a little farther away and watched for a few minutes before approaching. As he drew closer, he saw that she had noticed him. Anna glanced up quickly, but her face remained expressionless. "You came back," she said, her tone a mix of surprise and irritation. "I said I would," Gabriel replied, stopping a few steps away. Anna sighed and looked away. "Don't you have anything better to do?" "Maybe I have. But this seems more important right now." She laughed, a short and emotionless laugh. "Important? For someone like you? What could possibly be so important here?" Gabriel wasn't sure how to respond. He didn't have a clear justification, just an inexplicable need to be there. "I want to help," he finally said. "Help?" Anna stared at him, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. "Why?" "I'm not sure," Gabriel admitted honestly, "but something tells me you deserve more than this." Anna shook her head, as if he'd said something absurd. "You think you know anything about me? About what I deserve?" "I don't know anything about you," he admitted. "But I want to." Anna stayed silent, studying him as if trying to figure out his true intentions. Finally, she sighed softly. "All right, millionaire. You want to know? I used to have a home, a job, a normal life, but all of that is gone now. This is where I am. And before you ask, no, I don't need your charity." Gabriel felt a tightness in his chest at her words. He hadn't expected Anna to be so direct or so firm. "I'm not here to judge you or ask questions about what happened," he said. "I just want to help somehow." She narrowed her eyes. "Why? Because your conscience bothers you when you see someone like me?" Gabriel hesitated. Anna was right to be skeptical. He knew many people acted out of guilt or to feel superior, but that didn't seem to apply here. "Maybe I'm just tired of looking at numbers and forgetting that there are people," he replied. Anna stared at him for a few more seconds before letting out a brief laugh. "All right, millionaire. If you want to help, I'll take food. That's all." Gabriel nodded, relieved to have made a small step forward. He left to find something for her to eat, returning a few minutes later with a sandwich and a bottle of water. Anna accepted them without a word, but her eyes showed a mix of gratitude and reluctance. "Thank you," she said softly as she began to eat. Gabriel stood there, watching her for a moment. He realized Anna was much younger than she first appeared, maybe not even 25. Despite everything, there was a strength in her posture, something he couldn't quite define. "How long have you been here?" he asked carefully, not wanting to sound intrusive. Anna hesitated before answering. "A few months. Since I lost everything." "Family? Friends?" "That doesn't matter now," she cut him off, looking directly at him. "I don't need anyone asking about my story out of curiosity." Gabriel realized he was treading on delicate ground. "I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention." She went back to eating in silence, and Gabriel didn't say anything else. He stood there for a few minutes, watching the movement around them, before deciding to leave. "I'll be back tomorrow," he said before turning away. Anna didn't respond, but he noticed her watching him as he walked off. On his way back, Gabriel felt a mix of relief and restlessness. He knew this connection was just the beginning, but something inside him told him Anna was important. He didn't know how, but he felt he needed to keep coming back, even if she continued to resist. Let's play a little game with those who read the comments. Type popcorn in the comments. Only those who make it this far will get it. Now, let's continue the story. That night, as he tried to focus on a stack of documents, Gabriel realized his thoughts were elsewhere. Anna was like a mystery he needed to solve, and for the first time in years, he felt like something in his life had a purpose beyond work and money. Gabriel returned the next day as promised, but something inside him felt different. It was the first time in years that a decision seemed to come from his heart rather than his head. He arrived at the corner where Anna usually stayed and felt relieved to see her there. This time, she watched him from a distance as he approached, but without the same resistance as before. Gabriel carried a bag with food and a new blanket, something warmer than what she was using. "Good morning, Anna," he said, setting the bag down beside her. "You're persistent, huh?" she replied, but her voice no longer carried the sharp sarcasm of the previous days. "Let's just say I don't give up easily." She looked at the bag, opened it carefully, and saw a sandwich, a bottle of water, and the blanket. She touched the fabric with her fingers and sighed. "You don't have to do this." "I know." Anna ate in silence for a few minutes, while Gabriel sat on the curb beside her. People passed by, casting curious glances, but he ignored them. "You're used to hearing, 'Thank you,' aren't you?" she asked, a faint smile on her face. "Not always," he replied, surprised by her question. She looked up at him, reassessing him. A millionaire sitting on the ground with a homeless woman. Must be a first. "It's definitely out of my comfort zone, I'll admit," he said, chuckling at himself. "But maybe it's exactly what I need right now." Anna stayed silent for a moment, as though weighing his words. "Why do you keep coming here?" she finally asked. Gabriel thought carefully before answering. He could say it was to help her, but he knew that wasn't the whole truth. Because I think you deserve more than this, he said. And because, in some strange way, I think I need to be here too. Anna didn't respond. Instead, she averted her gaze as if wanting to escape the conversation. You said you used to have a home and a job. How did you end up here? Gabriel asked gently. She hesitated but eventually spoke. I lost my job a year ago. After that, everything fell apart. The house was the first to go. Friends, family, they disappeared over time. Now, this is all I have. Gabriel listened closely, feeling a knot tighten in his throat. He thought of how many people must have similar stories, yet he'd never stopped to see them before. Have you ever tried to get help? Maybe a shelter? Shelters aren't safe for women, she replied bluntly. I'd rather be alone. Her answer weighed heavily on his mind. He didn't know how to change her situation, but he felt an unshakable need to try. You're different, Anna, he said after a moment. I don't know how to explain it, but you're strong. Even here, even like this, you have something special. Anna laughed, but this time it carried a hint of real humor. Special? You really don't know me, Gabriel. Maybe I want to. She looked at him again, narrowing her eyes as if trying to figure out his intentions. And what do you get out of this? She asked. Nothing. This isn't about getting anything. Everyone wants something, Gabriel, even you. He fell silent, knowing she was right. Maybe he did want something, but he wasn't sure what it was yet. Maybe I'm just trying to learn something from you. Anna laughed again, shaking her head. You have a strange idea of learning. Gabriel stayed by her side a little longer, silently watching the street's activity. Despite her resistance, he felt Anna's guard beginning to lower. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As he stood to leave, he did something unexpected. He took a card from his pocket and handed it to her. This is my office number. If you need anything at all, call me. She took the card with a neutral expression but said nothing. See you tomorrow, Anna, he said before walking away. She watched him leave, holding the card as if unsure what to do with it. That night, Gabriel realized his life was changing. He had always believed the world revolved around money and power, but Anna made him question everything. For the first time, he felt like he was doing something that truly mattered. Anna, meanwhile, stared at the card in her hands. Part of her wanted to throw it away, but another part, a part she didn't want to admit existed, felt that maybe, just maybe, someone was finally seeing beyond her poverty and despair. Days passed, and Gabriel kept visiting Anna. Despite her initial resistance, she began to accept his presence. Not that it softened her defensive demeanor. Anna remained cautious, as though waiting for the day Gabriel would stop coming and never return. But he stayed, and over time, small sparks of trust began to flicker. Anna opened up more about her life, though she still held back certain details. Gabriel, on the other hand, tried to figure out how he could help her without pushing her into something she didn't want. Then, one cloudy afternoon, Gabriel arrived at the corner to find Anna looking worse than usual. She was pale, clutching her stomach as if in pain. Anna, what's wrong? He asked, crouching beside her. It's nothing. She replied weakly. It doesn't look like nothing. You're pale. Are you sick? Anna hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. Gabriel pressed her gently, and finally she let out a heavy sigh. I'm pregnant, okay? She said, her tone defiant. The revelation hit Gabriel like a blow. He blinked a few times, trying to process. Pregnant? How long have you known? A few weeks, Anna admitted, looking away. But it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. What do you mean, it doesn't matter? Gabriel asked, incredulous. This changes everything, Anna. She laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. Changes what? I'm already living on the streets. Now I'll have a baby on the streets. What else could possibly change? Gabriel felt a lump in his throat hearing that. He had never thought about what it was like to face something so monumental without any support. Does the father know? He dared to ask, already suspecting the answer. The father disappeared when he found out. Of course he doesn't know, Anna replied coldly. Gabriel fell silent for a moment, trying to think of what to say. The thought of a pregnant woman living in such conditions was unbearable to him. Anna, you can't keep going like this, he finally said. You need care, a safe place. And what do you suggest? That I go to a shelter? I've already told you, that's not an option. Then come with me. Anna looked at him as if he had just said something ridiculous. Are you crazy? No, I'm being practical, Gabriel replied. You need help and I can offer it. I'm not asking for anything in return. Anna shook her head, clearly skeptical. And what do you get out of this, Gabriel? Are you just trying to turn me into some charity project to feel good about yourself? This isn't about me, Anna. It's about you and your baby. She stayed silent, staring at the ground. Gabriel could tell that behind her resistance was fear. I understand why you're skeptical, he continued. But you don't have to decide now. Just think about it. Anna didn't respond, but Gabriel knew she was considering it. He left some food and new clothes for her before saying goodbye, promising to return the next day. That night, Gabriel found himself thinking about how much his life had changed since meeting Anna. He didn't fully understand why he cared so much, but he knew he couldn't just ignore what was happening. Anna, meanwhile, spent hours staring at the card Gabriel had given her. His offer was intimidating, but the thought of bringing a child into the world while living on the streets was even more terrifying. For the first time in months, she felt like there might be a way out, even if she wasn't sure how to trust someone like Gabriel. The next day, Gabriel returned as promised. This time, he found Anna standing, waiting for him. I'll accept your help, she said firmly, though her eyes were filled with hesitation. Gabriel smiled, a mix of relief and determination. You're making the right choice, Anna. Let's change your life. Gabriel's decision to help Anna seemed simple at first, but it quickly became the center of a storm. The apartment where Anna stayed was a safe haven, but outside, chaos brewed. At work, in the press, and even among his own family, Gabriel's choice was questioned, mocked, and outright attacked. Early in the morning, as he entered the company's headquarters, Gabriel noticed the stares. Whispers that had once been discreet were now accompanied by muffled laughs and even blatant jokes. Looks like the boss is recruiting from the streets now, one manager said loudly in the hallway, drawing laughter from others. Watch out, she might take your spot as the new director, another joked. Gabriel heard it all but kept walking, eyes fixed on the elevator. Still, each comment felt like a small blow, testing his patience. On the executive floor, things weren't much better. During a meeting with the board, Ricardo, a man known for his sharp tongue, brought up the topic directly. Gabriel, can we talk about the elephant in the room? He said casually, but with a provoking tone. Gabriel closed his eyes for a moment before responding. Go ahead, Ricardo. Is it true what people are saying? That you're involved with a homeless woman? The room fell silent. Everyone waited for Gabriel's reaction. He took a deep breath, controlling the urge to snap. Yes, it's true, he said, meeting Ricardo's gaze. I'm helping Anna, a woman who is living on the streets and is pregnant. The murmurs that followed were almost deafening. Gabriel raised his hand, demanding silence. Before anyone says something stupid, let me make one thing very clear. I will not tolerate any disrespectful comments about her. Ricardo, with a cynical smile, wasn't ready to back down. I understand your position, Gabriel, but you realize this is hurting our image, right? The press is already watching. Wouldn't it be more prudent to distance yourself from this situation? Gabriel stood, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Prudent? Are you suggesting I abandon someone in need just to protect the company's image? Ricardo tried to argue, but Gabriel cut him off. I love Anna, and I will take care of her and this baby as if they were my own family. If that bothers anyone here, the door's open. The silence that followed was overwhelming. No one dared to speak. Gabriel stood there for a few seconds, his eyes scanning the room, daring anyone to challenge him again. After the meeting, Gabriel locked himself in his office for a few minutes to regain control of his emotions. He knew he had done the right thing, but he also knew the battle was far from over. At home, Anna was facing her own fears. Despite everything Gabriel was doing, she felt the weight of being at the center of so much turmoil. You don't have to do this, Gabriel, she said one night as they ate dinner. Do what? Fight for me. For us, it's not worth it. Gabriel set his utensils down and looked at her. Don't say that, Anna. You're worth it. Both of you are. She looked away, pushing her food around her plate. I just don't want you to regret this, to look back and think all of this was a mistake. Gabriel reached out, gently holding her hand to stop her fidgeting. I will never regret helping you, Anna, never. There was a firmness in his voice, almost desperation. For the first time, Anna saw something in Gabriel's eyes she hadn't seen before. Absolute sincerity. The next morning, Gabriel arrived at the office, determined to put an end to the gossip once and for all. He called for a general meeting, something rare in the company. When all the employees were gathered, Gabriel stepped onto an improvised stage and picked up the microphone. I know many of you have been talking about my personal life, about Anna. I want to take this opportunity to clear some things up. The room fell silent as every eye fixed on him. Yes, I'm helping a woman who used to live on the streets. Yes, she is pregnant, and yes, I love her. A murmur began to spread, but Gabriel raised his hand to quiet them. I understand this might seem strange or even inconvenient to some of you, but frankly, I don't care. I'm not going to abandon Anna or the baby because of gossip or pressure. He let his gaze travel across the room, making sure his words landed with every person present. If anyone here believes my decision affects your ability to work, you are free to look for employment elsewhere. But in this company, respect and humanity are non-negotiable values. The silence that followed was heavy, but Gabriel felt he had regained control of the narrative. When he returned home that evening, Anna noticed something different about him. What happened? She asked as he removed his jacket. Gabriel gave a tired but satisfied smile. I just did what needed to be done. The weeks following Gabriel's declaration were intense. While he dealt with workplace pressures, Anna began adjusting to her new reality, though fear and distrust were still constant companions. But an unexpected turn brought new challenges that would draw them even closer. One morning, Gabriel took Anna to a routine obstetric appointment. Since she had accepted his help, he made it a point to be present for every moment. Despite Anna's initial discomfort, Gabriel insisted, ensuring she knew she wasn't alone. The doctor performed the usual exams and ordered an ultrasound to check on the baby's development. Anna was nervous. It was her first time seeing the baby. Sitting beside her, Gabriel held her hand. It's going to be okay, he said with an encouraging smile. When the image appeared on the screen, the room went silent. The doctor smiled. Congratulations, the baby is developing well. Anna stared at the screen, her eyes welling with tears. It was real. Right there, in front of her, was proof that her life was about to change forever. It's incredible, she whispered. Gabriel couldn't take his eyes off the monitor. Even though the baby wasn't biologically his, he already felt an unexplainable connection to that tiny life. After the appointment, Anna was visibly emotional. Gabriel took her to a nearby cafe to talk. You're quiet, he noted. It's just, that was the first time it felt real, Anna replied, stirring her tea. I'm scared, Gabriel. Scared of what? Of not being able to do this. Of being a terrible mother. Gabriel reached across the table and held her hand. You don't have to do this alone, Anna. I'm here, and I'll always be here. She opened her mouth to respond but was interrupted by Gabriel's phone ringing. It was Beatrice, his mother. He hesitated before answering, knowing the conversation would likely be difficult. Gabriel, we need to talk, Beatrice said without preamble. I'm busy right now, Mom. I don't care. This is about that woman. I won't let you ruin your life over a reckless decision. Gabriel stood and stepped away from the table to take the call in private, leaving Anna confused. My life isn't yours to allow or not, Mom. He responded, keeping his tone calm. Do you really think this is going to end well? Gabriel, you're taking on a baby that isn't even yours. Can't you see how ridiculous this is? What I see, Mom, is that you're more concerned with what people think than with doing what's right. The silence on the other end was heavy, but Gabriel didn't back down. Anna is my family now, and if you can't accept that, maybe the problem isn't with me. He ended the call before she could reply. When he returned to the table, Anna was watching him with a mix of curiosity and concern. Is everything okay? She asked. Yeah. Just family stuff. Gabriel were trying to downplay the tension. In the days that followed, Gabriel began reorganizing his life to prepare for the baby's arrival. He bought furniture, clothes, and everything Anna would need to care for the child. Although grateful, Anna still felt uneasy about depending so much on him. One evening, as Gabriel assembled the crib in the apartment, Anna watched him silently. Are you really willing to do all this for me? She finally asked. Gabriel stopped what he was doing and looked at her. It's not just for you, Anna. It's for the baby, for the family we're creating. His words struck her deeply. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt there might be a future for her, something worth fighting for. A few days later, news about Anna expecting a baby while living on the streets began drawing media attention. A tabloid published a photo of her with Gabriel, accompanied by a sensational headline: "Millionaire involved with homeless pregnant woman, scandal or act of love." When the news reached the office, Gabriel addressed it head-on. He called another meeting with his team. "I know many of you have read about my personal life in the papers," he began firmly. "Let me make one thing clear. I will not tolerate judgments, jokes, or disrespectful comments about Anna or our family." Some executives exchanged glances, but no one dared to speak. "If anyone here believes that my decision to support Anna compromises my leadership, you're welcome to leave now. This team doesn't need people with such small-minded values." The room was silent. Gabriel knew he was risking his reputation, but he didn't care. As the days passed, Gabriel and Anna grew closer. A deeper bond began to form. Gabriel, once entirely focused on work, found himself thinking about Anna, even during important meetings. Anna, though still battling her insecurities, felt that Gabriel was unlike anyone she had ever met. One evening, while having dinner, Anna watched Gabriel prepare a plate for her, his expression calm yet attentive. "You didn't have to do all this, you know," she said with a small smile. "What else would I do?" Gabriel replied, placing the plate in front of her. "Let you go hungry?" She laughed, shaking her head. "It's not that. It's just, no one's ever taken care of me like this before." Gabriel sat next to her and took her hand. "I want to take care of you, Anna. Not just because of the baby, but because you matter to me." His words made Anna's heart race. She knew she was falling for him too, but she was scared to admit it. Before she could respond, Gabriel looked her in the eye and said, "I love you, Anna." She stayed silent, surprised, but deep down she knew she felt the same. Before she could say anything, Gabriel's phone rang, interrupting the moment. He answered, and his expression quickly changed. The board scheduled an emergency meeting for tomorrow. Something's happening at the company. The next morning, Gabriel faced the company's board. The room was full, but the atmosphere was tense. Ricardo, one of the most influential executives, got straight to the point. "Gabriel, your decision to make your personal life so public has had consequences. The company's image is being questioned, and many investors are concerned." "And what exactly are you suggesting?" Gabriel asked, crossing his arms. "We think it would be best if you stepped away from the board temporarily while we address the damage," Ricardo said bluntly. Gabriel felt like he'd been punched in the gut. The company he had built was now sidelining him. "Is this temporary?" he asked, trying to control his anger. "It's what's best for everyone, Gabriel." When Gabriel returned to the apartment, Anna immediately noticed something was wrong. He tried to hide it, but she insisted until he told her. "They removed me from the company," he said bitterly. "Gabriel, this is my fault," Anna said, her eyes filling with tears. "No, Anna, it's not your fault, it's theirs. People who can't understand what truly matters." Gabriel tried to reassure her, but Anna's guilt was overwhelming. That night, while he slept, she made a difficult decision. She left a letter on the living room table and quietly walked out of the apartment. "Gabriel, I can't keep being a burden in your life. You deserve your company, your reputation, and your peace. I'll take care of myself and the baby on my own. Please don't look for me. With love, Anna." When Gabriel woke up and found the letter, it felt like his world had collapsed. "No, Anna, no!" he shouted, grabbing his phone and desperately trying to call her, but her number was disconnected. He rushed out, searching the streets for her. He spent hours driving around, checking every place he thought she might be, asking people if they'd seen her, but no one had any answers. By nightfall, Gabriel arrived at a busy park. A crowd had gathered, and he noticed an ambulance with its lights flashing. His heart pounded as he ran toward the commotion. "What happened here?" he asked, pushing through the crowd to get closer. When he finally saw what was happening, his legs almost gave out. Anna was being lifted onto a stretcher by paramedics, unconscious. "Anna!" he shouted, running toward her. One of the paramedics stopped him. "Do you know this woman?" "Yes, she's my wife. What happened?" "She was found collapsed on the ground. She's extremely weak, likely dehydrated. We're not sure about the baby's condition yet. Gabriel climbed into the ambulance with Anna, holding her hand tightly as the paramedics worked to stabilize her. "Stay with me, Anna. Please stay with me," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. Hours later, Gabriel paced the hospital waiting room, unable to sit still. Finally, a doctor approached him. "Doctor, how is she? How's the baby?" he asked, his voice heavy with tension. "The situation is critical," the doctor began. "She's very weak, and the stress has made things worse. We need to keep her hospitalized indefinitely to ensure her and the baby's safety." Gabriel nodded, feeling a mix of relief that she was alive and despair over the severity of the situation. He went to Anna's room, where she lay in bed, visibly shaken. When she saw him, her eyes filled with tears. "Gabriel, I'm so sorry." He walked to her side and took her hands in his. "Why did you do this, Anna? Why would you risk your life and the baby's?" "I didn't want to be a burden to you. I've lost so much already. I didn't want you to lose more because of me." Gabriel shook his head, his eyes locked on hers. "You've never been a burden, Anna. You're everything to me. You and this baby are my family, and nothing matters more than that." Anna began to cry, and Gabriel held her close, promising that she would never feel alone again. With Anna hospitalized, Gabriel faced the challenge of keeping their family together while managing the fragility of their situation and the decisions he needed to make to protect Anna and the baby. After a few days in the hospital, the atmosphere in Anna's room was heavy. The stillness of the early morning was broken only by the soft beeping of the heart monitor and the sound of her breathing. Gabriel spent every night by her side, barely sleeping, his mind consumed with guilt and worry. That morning, Anna seemed a little stronger. As Gabriel arranged some flowers beside her bed, she watched him silently, emotions she couldn't put into words reflected in her gaze. "Why are you still here?" she asked, her voice weak but sincere. Gabriel stopped what he was doing and looked at her. "Why wouldn't I be?" "Because I put you in this situation. If I hadn't come into your life, you'd still have your company, your peace." Gabriel sighed, pulling a chair closer to sit beside her. "Anna, I haven't lost anything that truly matters. You and this baby are all I need." Anna looked away, fighting back tears. "I don't know if I can handle all of this, Gabriel." He gently held her hand, feeling its fragility. "You don't have to handle it alone. I'm here." As Gabriel comforted Anna, a man appeared at the hospital's front desk. It was Pedro, the baby's biological father. He had learned about Anna from sensational headlines and decided to show up, not out of concern, but driven by curiosity and a desire to protect himself from any public scandal. When Pedro finally located Anna's room, the scene took everyone by surprise. Gabriel was sitting beside her when Pedro entered, his eyes filled with fake sympathy. "Anna," he began, as if they were old friends. Anna went pale, her body frozen. Gabriel immediately noticed something was wrong. "Who are you?" Gabriel asked, standing up, his voice firm. "I'm Pedro, the baby's father," the man replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Gabriel felt his blood boil. "What do you want here?" "I just want to help. I heard she was here and thought I could do something." Anna, who had been silent until now, finally found her voice. "You disappeared, Pedro. Don't pretend you care now." Pedro shrugged, feigning indifference. "Things were complicated, Anna, but I'm here now." Gabriel stepped forward, shielding Anna with his body. "She doesn't need you. We're fine without your help." Pedro looked at Gabriel with disdain. "And who are you to decide that?" Without losing his calm, Gabriel replied, "I'm the man taking care of her and the baby you abandoned." The tension in the room was palpable. Pedro realized he had no place there and left, but not without casting one last glance at Anna. This isn't over. After Pedro left, Anna began trembling, clutching the sheets tightly. Gabriel wrapped his arms around her, trying to comfort her. "He won't come back, Anna. I'll make sure of it." Anna looked at Gabriel, her eyes filled with tears. "What if he tries something?" Gabriel took a deep breath, his determination clear. "Then he'll have to get through me first." That night while Anna slept, Gabriel started planning how to protect her and the baby. He knew Pedro couldn't be trusted, and his return couldn't be ignored. In the days that followed, Gabriel intensified his efforts to secure a safe future for Anna. He hired a lawyer to learn about Pedro's legal rights and began looking for a permanent place for them to live. far from all the chaos. Anna, meanwhile, started to accept that Gabriel was genuinely willing to fight for her. His constant presence, even amidst so many challenges, proved his commitment. One afternoon, as Gabriel sorted through some paperwork in the hospital room, Anna called him. "Gabriel, I want to start over. I want to leave all this behind." He smiled, moving closer to her. "And we will, Anna, together." The days following the encounter with Pedro were tense. Gabriel devoted himself even more to protecting Anna and the baby, but the shadow of the past seemed to loom over them. Anna grew quieter, as if the confrontation had reopened old wounds she thought had healed. Gabriel decided he wouldn't wait for another confrontation. He hired a lawyer and began preparing documents to ensure Pedro couldn't interfere in their lives. He also increased security at the hospital and arranged for a guard to accompany Anna during her stay. Anna, on the other hand, wrestled with a storm of emotions. Part of her still bore the weight of her past with Pedro, but Gabriel's unwavering support was starting to create a new perspective. One morning, as Gabriel was at the hospital, Anna finally decided to speak up. "Gabriel, do you think people will ever accept us?" He looked at her, surprised by the question. "I don't care what people think. What matters to me is what we think about ourselves." She held his hand, feeling the warmth and steadiness he always offered. "I just want our baby to grow up in peace." "And he will. I promise, Anna." His words were like a balm to her heart, but the reality outside their bubble remained harsh. That same week, a new wave of headlines emerged. Pedro, in a desperate attempt to gain attention, gave interviews to the press, claiming Anna had lied about him and that Gabriel was being manipulated. The media fed on the story, turning it into a spectacle. "Millionaire seduced by pregnant homeless woman," read one of the headlines. At the hospital, Anna saw the news on her phone and broke down in tears. When Gabriel arrived, he found her with her face buried in her hands. "They'll never stop, Gabriel. Maybe it's better if I disappear again." Gabriel knelt in front of her, holding her face in his hands. "Don't ever say that again. You're not alone, Anna. These people know nothing about you or us." He knew he had to do something. Something big. Something that would show the world who Anna really was and what they stood for together. That same day, Gabriel arranged a press conference. He knew that if he left the narrative in others' hands, they would continue to tear Anna down. In the auditorium, journalists crowded together, ready to fire their questions. Gabriel walked in alone, but his confident demeanor silenced the room. "Good afternoon. I'm here to address some lies circulating about Anna and our relationship." He paused, letting each word sink in. "Anna is not manipulative, as some have suggested. She is a strong woman who has faced challenges most of us can't even imagine. And above all, she is the woman I love." The murmurs began, but Gabriel pressed on, his voice steady. "I chose to stand by her. Not because I have to, but because I want to. And I will keep fighting for her and for our child, no matter what anyone says." After his statement, he opened the floor for questions, but chose to respond only to those he deemed respectful. The press conference ended with Gabriel taking control of the narrative, and gradually, the criticism began to fade. At the hospital, Anna watched the live broadcast and cried again, but this time, out of relief. When Gabriel returned, she greeted him with a tight hug. "Would you really do all that for me?" "I already am, Anna." As the dust from the public exposure began to settle, Anna started to rebuild herself. She accepted an invitation to speak at a social event for homeless women, where she shared her story and talked about the importance of never giving up. Her words were powerful, moving everyone in attendance. For the first time, Anna didn't feel like someone just receiving help. She felt like someone who could inspire others. Gabriel, watching from the back of the room, couldn't have been prouder. She was transforming, stepping out of the shadows of her past to build a brighter future. That night, as they drove back to the hospital, Anna held Gabriel's hand in the car. "Maybe people don't change, Gabriel, but today I realize that I can." He looked at her and smiled. "You've already changed, Anna, and I couldn't be prouder of you." The days at the hospital began to feel routine. Gabriel was always by Anna's side, attending every appointment and staying updated on her and the baby's health. Despite everything they had endured, an unusual sense of calm surrounded them. It was as if they had finally found balance in the chaos. Let's do something fun for those who only read the comments. Type pizza in the comments. Only those who make it this far will get it. Now, let's get back to the story. Anna, now emotionally stronger, began to believe in a future with Gabriel. Though she still felt fear, her heart was warmed by his words and actions. With every gesture, Gabriel showed that she and the baby were his top priorities. One quiet afternoon, as Gabriel read a book by Anna's bedside, she watched him for a long moment before speaking. "Do you think all of this was worth it?" He closed the book and looked at her, his eyes filled with tenderness. "Anna, there's nothing in the world I would change. Everything we've been through has brought us here." She smiled, but something still seemed to weigh on her mind. "What if I can't be everything you expect?" Gabriel took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "You already are everything I need." Before she could respond, the doctor walked into the room with a serious yet calm expression. Gabriel immediately stood up. "I have good news. Anna is stable and so is the baby. However, we'll need to monitor her until the birth. Any complications could put both at risk." Gabriel nodded, taking in every word. He knew challenges still lay ahead, but he was determined to face them with Anna. As the weeks passed, Anna gained more confidence. Gabriel encouraged her to talk about the future and make plans. In a particularly intimate moment, he brought her a small surprise. "I know you don't like a lot of attention, but I thought this would be special." He handed her a small box. Inside, Anna found a pair of baby shoes and a note that read, "Our future starts now." She held the shoes to her chest, her eyes filling with tears. "I don't know how to thank you for everything, Gabriel. You don't need to thank me, Anna. You just need to believe." That night, as Gabriel slept in the chair by her bed, Anna watched him silently. For the first time in a long while, she felt safe. The days that followed brought a new light to their lives. Gabriel, with unwavering determination, prepared their apartment to welcome the baby, while Anna, still in the hospital, became more involved in the social projects they had started together. On the day Anna was discharged, the atmosphere was celebratory. Gabriel brought her home to an apartment transformed into a warm, welcoming space. The crib was set up, the walls decorated in soft colors, and every detail seemed thoughtfully arranged. "Welcome home," Gabriel said, helping her settle in. Anna looked around, overcome with emotion. For the first time, she felt like she had a place where she truly belonged. Time passed quickly, and the long-awaited day finally arrived. Gabriel was by Anna's side in the delivery room, holding her hand as she gave birth. The baby's cry filled the room, bringing tears of relief and joy to both of them. When the baby was placed in Anna's arms, she looked at Gabriel, and they both knew this was the beginning of a new chapter. "He's perfect," Anna whispered as Gabriel gently caressed the baby's tiny face. "So are you, Anna." The following days were filled with moments of learning and love. Gabriel and Anna became a team, navigating the challenges of parenthood together. More than that, they became a family. One night, while holding the baby in his arms and watching Anna sleep peacefully on the couch, Gabriel reflected on everything they had been through. Every obstacle, every criticism, every moment of doubt had brought them here. After their daughter Laura was born, life took on a new rhythm for Gabriel and Anna. Their days revolved around the little girl, who seemed to brighten every space with her smile. Gabriel, who had once split his time between work and social obligations, now spent most of his days with Anna and their daughter. He looked happier and more fulfilled than ever before. One afternoon, while Anna was feeding Laura in the living room, Gabriel walked in, holding a small gift. Sitting beside her, he handed her the package with a smile. "What's this, Gabriel?" she asked, curious. "Something for Laura." Opening the package, Anna found a small gold bracelet engraved with their daughter's name. She looked at Gabriel, moved. "It's beautiful. You always think of everything, don't you?" "I try," he said with a laugh. "But honestly, you two are all that matters to me now." Anna smiled, but before she could respond, Laura let out a loud giggle, as if agreeing with her father. "Looks like she agrees with you," Anna said, laughing. Months went by, and Gabriel continued to show Anna his unwavering dedication. He woke up in the middle of the night to care for Laura, made breakfast for Anna, and insisted on setting aside evenings for them to watch movies together, or simply talk. One afternoon, as they strolled through the park, Gabriel watched Anna pushing Laura's stroller. The gentle breeze played with her hair, and he felt a warm swell in his chest. Without much thought, he took her hand and stopped her. "Anna, you know how much I love you, don't you?" he asked, his voice filled with emotion. She looked at him, surprised by the intensity in his tone. "I know, Gabriel, and I love you too." Right there in the middle of the park, with people passing by, Gabriel got down on one knee. Anna gasped, covering her mouth as he pulled a small box from his pocket. "Anna, from the moment you came into my life, everything changed. You showed me what truly matters, and I want to spend every day with you. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Anna's face as she nodded, unable to speak. Gabriel slid the ring onto her finger, stood and embraced her tightly as onlookers clapped and cheered. "Yes, Gabriel, I will." That night, they celebrated with a simple dinner at home, while Laura slept peacefully in her crib nearby. Anna couldn't stop glancing at the ring on her finger, feeling for the first time that the future seemed clear and full of promise. A few months later, Gabriel received a phone call from his mother, Beatrice. Since Laura's birth, she had kept her distance, but now she seemed ready to reach out. "Gabriel, can I visit? I'd like to meet my granddaughter." Gabriel hesitated for a moment, but knew this was an important step for everyone. "Of course, Mom, we'll be waiting for you." When Beatrice arrived, Anna felt nervous. Despite Gabriel's unwavering support, she still feared she might not be fully accepted. But to her surprise, Beatrice seemed different from the cold woman Gabriel had always described. "You must be Anna," Beatrice said with a reserved smile. "Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure to meet you." Beatrice's gaze softened as she looked at Laura, cradled in Gabriel's arms. "May I hold her?" she asked. Gabriel handed Laura to his mother, who appeared genuinely moved as she held her granddaughter. "She's beautiful," Beatrice said, her voice trembling. Throughout the afternoon, the conversation went smoother than Anna expected. Beatrice asked about Laura's routine and even offered a few motherly tips. Anna realized that perhaps Gabriel's mother's heart was beginning to open. Before leaving, Beatrice took Anna's hand and said, "I know it took me a while to accept this, but I want you to know that you make my son happy, and that's what matters most to me." Anna smiled, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. The following months were dedicated to planning the wedding. Gabriel wanted Anna to have an unforgettable ceremony, but nothing over the top. He insisted it be intimate, with only the people who truly mattered. On the big day, Anna wore a simple yet elegant white dress, while Laura, dressed as a flower girl, captured everyone's attention. Gabriel, in a perfectly tailored suit, could hardly take his eyes off Anna as she walked toward him. The altar was decorated with white flowers and soft lights, and the sunset provided the perfect backdrop. During the ceremony, Gabriel's vows were heartfelt and moving. "Anna, you are the light that illuminated the darkness in my life. I promise to stand by your side through every step, every challenge, and every moment of joy." Holding back tears, Anna replied, "Gabriel, you've taught me what true love is. I promise to be your partner, your friend, and your family, today and always." When they kissed, applause filled the room, and Laura, sitting in Beatrice's lap, babbled something that made everyone laugh, as if she, too, was celebrating. The reception was intimate, but filled with joy. Anna and Gabriel shared their first dance as husband and wife, while Laura was doted on by her grandparents and close friends. That night, as they watched Laura sleep in her crib, Anna held Gabriel's hand and said, "Thank you for never giving up on me." Gabriel kissed her forehead, smiling. Giving up was never an option, Anna. The future might still hold challenges, but that night, they both knew they were ready to face them, together, as a family. What did you think of Gabriel's attitude toward Anna? Share your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep up with all our stories. And be sure to check out more heartwarming stories by clicking here on the end screen.